Hey guys, welcome to 366 Days of Hope. Sticking to our theme of mental health, today I'll be covering day 5, and our topic is the key to breaking. So, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes not every new year starts off great. I know that when our cat Costco passed away, December 30th of 2022, going into 2023 was not the greatest thing. We were devastated for our loss, and I know even though it's just a pet, I was actually really surprised because I was not the type of person that thought that my pets would dramatically affect me that much, but I bawled like a baby. And I just found myself really depressed. We ended up getting two kittens at a shelter well right after into the 2023 new year. And if you're kind of going through trauma or dealing with healing, stress, anxiety, this message I hope blesses you on giving you a tip on how to manage that. And it's not super easy because sometimes we can be so mentally overwhelmed that we don't have the energy to do the things that we want to do, but we can take one step to trying. And my encouragement to you is to not focus on the million things, but try to focus on maybe one thing that you can do. And if you could do anything at all, this one I think is going to be far more helpful than you realize, and there is science behind it. As we learn more about the connection between the mind and the body in terms of fitness, the more we can implement a healthy habit that prevent us from mental taxation. So my tip is movement. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard, oh, I don't want to exercise. I don't feel energy to exercise. Well, the exercise doesn't have to be rigorous at first. Even so, here's a good example. You know, as a personal trainer, I coach a lot of people and try to help them break habits. And one of the things that I try to tell people is that when you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, especially if you're a stress eater, um, is to do something active before you go to whatever your habit is. So a good example would be if you're a person who um, starts looking and rummaging through the fridge to figure out what to eat when you're stressed out, take a step back and grab a jump rope or do 20 jumping jacks. If you can't do a jumping jack, then do a modified version of it. Or go for a brisk walk outside. If it's too cold, I know these are excuses that people want to make to kind of prevent them from going out or doing something. Well, then you can go ahead and do high knees instead, as an example of an exercise that you could do right in your house without going outside, but doing a minute of that and do intervals of a minute will help you. And so I've been reading this book called Spark. Maybe some of you guys have heard of it or have heard me mention it before, but it's by Dr. John Ratty. And he stated that when we are under stress, and regardless of what kind of stress it is, our body dumps cortisol into our system. And in our brains, we create these chain reactions. The amygdala continues to overload our system with cortisol, which eventually causes you to have chronic depression or anxiety. However, when we exercise, we enhance neurochemicals and growth factors such as BDNF, which is brain derived neurotrophic factor, I believe IGF, which is insulin growth factor, and other reactions to help fuel our brain and help us feel good, like endorphins is one of them, right? And then we've got serotonin as the other, dopamine. And so all of these things actually unite and cohesively work together to help improve our mental health. And our hippocampus is basically our learning and our memory. And so when we exercise, that part of our brain actually activates and creates more what we call dendrites, right, and synaptic connections, so that way we're capable of maintaining our habits. And so exercise is actually proven to help enhance our brain, which then enhances our mental health. So if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, go ahead and try doing something active instead of going towards whatever stress comforts that you normally go to. And that's the way of breaking from it. You know, and I love this verse in Isaiah 11:2, and it says, "The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord." And I believe that wisdom and understanding are two things that we can definitely use to help us combat the feelings of anxiety, depression, all of these things when we are under stress. So if we want to improve, the answer is moving. So I hope that really helps you guys. If you're thinking, okay, well, how can I break from this particular habit? Try to think about what you can do that you're capable of doing safely, and try to implement that when you're under stress, and see how that progresses and see how you feel afterwards. I think that you'll discover that the more repetition, the more your hippocampus remembers to do those things, and you're creating that synaptic connection, and it's going to continue to make it a habit. And that's exactly what we want to develop our healthy habits for this year. All right. May you live, thrive, and be healthy. Take care. Bye.